ProWrestlingSheet.com.
What's up, guys? Ryan Satin here with ProWrestlingSheet.com. Normally, we do these recap shows with my co-host. Actually, the host, I'm the co-host. Normally, the host is John Roca. John Roca's sick today. I guess he had to go to the ER and all that kind of fun stuff.
I thought he had that whole, I'm feeling sick right before Thanksgiving week holiday.
No, I don't think it's that, because he was supposed to, but Jamie Iovine is here in his place. Sorry, before I get into that, Jamie Iovine's here for one of the recap shows. I'm glad we got you here to do one of these. I know this is something you've been kind of wanting to do, where you don't talk about the news, where you can just talk about your opinions.
Yeah, because
on wrestling.
I do find myself occasionally trying to focus on one specific part of a show, but we have to move on or talk about a specific news topic.
Yeah.
So this will be fun.
Yeah.
A fun change of pace, if you will.
And no, Roca, I don't think it was that kind of sickness. Roca was supposed to come to Survivor Series with me.
That's right. Your dad ended up going.
And he got sick. He called me and was like, I'm so sorry, I'm sick. And then apparently he tried to come into the office yesterday, and they were like, go home, you're sick. And he's not coming in today. I found out when I got in this morning, though. So I called up Jamie. Jamie is here. And I'll be honest with you, Jamie, I am also run down.
You had to go to. Did you go last night to Raw? So are you going tonight to SmackDown?
I finally tapped out. I haven't gotten confirmation yet, but I've been trying to transfer the tickets to Kevin's name. I texted him this morning like, I am so tired, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't make it. This is like the best problems to have. I know, so I shouldn't be like complaining here. But I mean, I'm like someone who doesn't go out a lot. You know that. I'm a hermit. I love staying home. I'm just sit and watch TV kind of guy. So,
to be fair, you've already had almost 8 hours of wrestling programming.
I think more than that. No, way more than that, right?
Well, 2 hours of
2 hours of Takeover.
3 hours of Survivor Series, then
4 hours of Survivor Series.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Then 3 hours of Raw, and then 3 hours of the Joey Janela's LA Confidential.
Yeah, well, I didn't count that because that's not WWE programming.
No, but it's still, I went Friday night to that show, and man, the thing is like, I'll go to these shows because I want to go, and B, I want to cover them. But like, a lot of things happened at all these shows, so then I'd have to like come home and write more stuff on it. So I mean, the Arquette thing, I didn't expect it to blow up as much as it did. I didn't expect it to get as violent as it did. I mean, that match was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much we were able. We can talk about it, but I wasn't there. I paid for it. I watched it at home. When I first saw, I knew that it was a replacement match. Obviously, it was a replacement. That wasn't the original match. What was the original? Joey Ryan, that's right. Yeah, and Joey got hurt. A lot of Joey's going down.
Yeah, totally.
That shirt is a funny shirt. Did you see that one?
The injured Joey's one? Yeah.
I like that. But I just was like, Nick Gage. I don't know much about this guy, but I do. From what I do know, we're never going to see him in NXT. I highly doubt that.
No, definitely not.
And I don't think he cares.
Definitely not.
And,
he's a former felon. He's like he actually went to prison and stuff. He's not expecting to go to NXT anytime soon.
Even though, and I know a lot of CZW and like a lot of indie fans are going to ream me for this if I get this wrong, but I feel like he's the new. What's the name of that guy who used to be like the CZW dude, and like he did that spot with Joey Janela where they fell off the roof. Zandig. Yes, I feel like since Zandig doesn't really compete as much anymore, I feel like he's like a new era. Even though Zandig had some running power, I think in terms of just that guy who is never going to be in the mainstream, is just that deathmatch guy. Gage is that guy now.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, if you had asked me a year ago or even 2 or 3 years ago if I ever would have probably written, if I thought that I was ever going to write a story on the side about Nick Gage, probably would have said no. If you'd asked if I ever thought I would see the name Nick Gage on TMZ, I would say 100% no. So it was a weird situation that Nick Gage kind of like got thrust into the spotlight here because of David Arquette.
And the first time I ever even heard of him was when I saw him at Joey Janela's Lost in New York. And because everybody I kind of already knew, that everybody on that card when I saw it, like I even if I wasn't too familiar with them, I knew. I mean, the only other new was the Gringo Loco guy. I never heard of him before, and that was the first time I'd seen him. And Nick Gage, even then, I was like, because I didn't know he was that deathmatch guy, because I don't even think that was a deathmatch when he was at Joey Janela Lost in New York, and I was like, this guy looks like you know, he's got a Just Incredible vibe, you know, in terms of his aesthetic. You know, the way he wrestles, in terms of the way he looks and wrestles, he's got a Just Incredible vibe, but he seems older, so he's definitely not an up-and-comer. And then, but just, he's got a little bit of Sandman in him where...
Well, he's hardcore. I mean, he's very hardcore.
I mean, when I say Sandman, his moves aren't really crisp, you know.
Yeah, he's a hardcore wrestler.
Yeah, and... When you hear of David, I just gave myself, because this is my process of thinking, and then when I saw that they put David Arquette together, I didn't know it was a death match at first. I thought it was just a match, and then when they announced that it was a death match, it threw me threw me back, because I was like, David Arquette seems to be kind of, you know, he competed I mean, he's trying to do the NWA. I mean, not NWA, I'm sorry. He's trying to do the territorial system with the indies, but like the right way, the old-fashioned way, if you will.
He's trying to get respect from people.
Yeah, and death matches, while they have their fans, you know, it isn't usually viewed by a lot of like the older wrestlers as some like a notable thing to do.
Well, basically, he told me when he was here last week that he's had 2 goals since coming back to wrestling. One of them was to get respect from people in the wrestling industry who he felt like he never got respect from, and 2 was to show people in wrestling that he's not a pussy. And so I think he saw opportunity here to get like real hardcore and prove to people he wasn't a pussy. I mean, if you watch the whole match, I mean, obviously, you know, most of you watchers probably saw the footage on the site. What?
That thought's out the window. Nobody can say that.
Nobody. I mean, because there's parts where he's getting pizza cuttered in his head. I mean, he is getting brutalized in this match. But, you know, to be, you know, and we're going to get into the Raw stuff in a second, but, you know, everyone's been talking about this Arquette stuff today. I do want to put out there that, you know, Arquette has since put out a statement saying that, you know, the shoot nature of the ending of the match was his fault. That, you know, for those of you who maybe didn't see it, the way it ended was Nick Gage is grinding a light tube into Arquette's forehead, and Arquette kind of like panics and moves, and when he moves, the light tube goes down and strikes him in the neck, and it kind of like just starts gushing blood.
Yeah.
And so then Arquette freaks out, he leaves, he comes back, and then the match ends and he leaves. But he's since put out a statement saying that it was totally his fault, that it was his inexperience that caused him to get hurt, that it wasn't on the company. But I've also seen, you know, Shane Helms going off today about the situation too, saying that like it's not on Arquette, that it's on the company who booked him, and that, you know, that it was you know, irresponsible of them to put him in that kind of a situation. He said, this is what he said actually on Twitter, because it was well, this is what
which is said. Interesting, because, you know, Shane Helms played David Arquette's stunt double.
Well, that's why he said like he says later, he got into a whole debate about this on Twitter, but he says like, yeah, I know David Arquette, so don't pretend like I'm just saying this out of my ass. Like, I know the guy. Like, but here's what he said. He said, a good booker knows what his locker room is capable of. And wait, no, actually, hold on. This is the better statement. He said, with all due respect, they took advantage of your name value and put you in a situation that you weren't trained or prepared for, and it came close to ending very badly. Regardless of whether you want to do it or not, that's shitty and irresponsible booking. Which, I mean, I'm sure there are people who feel that way. I mean, I do see both sides of this argument. You know, I'm not necessarily a deathmatch person, so I can see the other side of this argument. I can see what Shane's talking about.
I think there was lack of preparation on both sides.
Totally, absolutely.
I think they could have at least wizened David up a little bit more as to who this guy is and what he should be expecting. And also at the same time, it's not completely their fault. David Arquette should have known what he signed up for.
Agreed.
You know, like,
but I mean, even David Arquette, when he was here, he said when they asked him to do the match, he had no idea who Nick Gage was.
Okay, but if you tell me, okay, do you want to do this match? I'm gonna whip out my phone. I'm gonna go on YouTube and I'm gonna figure out who the fuck this guy is.
Totally.
Because don't you, even if he's not a deathmatch guy, even if he's just some wrestler that you're gonna work with, wouldn't you want to at least be a little familiar with like what his finish is, or like what his look is, like what you could work with? Like,
I would.
I mean, that's me personally.
That's me personally. I would. I mean, and he did make it seem like he did after the fact do that and still decided to go forward with it. So, you know, I'm sure the full story will play out in David's documentary. I know that I'm
genuinely curious to see what happened between the two afterwards.
Well, you know, we put in the story that we put up about it that basically Arquette went backstage, Rush backstage was freaking out kinda, but the camera crew was following him the whole time for his documentary.
That's going to be some good footage, by the way.
Then Luke Perry came running in because Luke Perry was at the show.
Yep.
Luke Perry comes running in, says, "Hey, we got to get you the fuck out of here. You're bleeding. This is too much.
We have to go to the hospital.
We have to go to ER right now." And they rushed out. Then Nick Gage came back and just hung out, in the backstage area. So I know
they didn't see each other.
No. And the promoter of GCW told me it does sound like the promoter of GCW suspects that David played that up a little bit for his documentary.
Which is possible.
I mean, worker's going to work. They're both working each other a little bit here. Everyone's looking to gain something out of it.
I mean, if you're going to sit here and tell me that David Arquette didn't see, deathmatch, that would be really dope for my documentary. It will. Mm-hmm. And it will. And the way it ended, all the
news coverage.
Mm-hmm, that'll be great for the, it's going to be great
TMZ coverage. And then fast forward, then I had TakeOver, which was awesome. You were there too.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to say about that is that double moonsault from the cage was one of the coolest things. Were you not there when that happened?
No,
you were. I
was there. I was there. But I saw it from a profile view. You don't really see how close he came from not doing that last two, because he literally his upper body, like his shoulders and his neck, are what lands on the guys.
Yeah.
That the crew catching him.
Yeah.
I didn't, because when you first see it, you don't see that. But when I saw it on the network for the first time, and it's like, he almost didn't get that final revolution.
Totally.
So, hey. And even I think he even knows that, because he even tweets like, "I don't know what I was thinking." Like that could have been horrible.
I can't help but think when I watch something like that, though, that there had to have been like a young Mick Foley in the crowd who sees something like that and is like, that's a young Mick Foley's like Jimmy Snuka moment, the next generation where they go like, holy shit, I want to do that one day. Because you've never seen something like that. That's next level.
No, not off the top of a cage.
No. I mean, I've seen that one, that ROH one where it like looks all messy, but it's not the same. It's not the same like that.
Moonsaults are, to me, this is just my personal view on things. Moonsaults to me are the scariest high risk moves there are.
Yeah,
because you're going backwards, and you basically don't know. I mean, that guy may be there when you initially started to turn around, but you better hope he's still there when you just go. Because that's complete. Like when there's like an outside dive or a senton or something, you at least get to see where you're going. But with these, to be fair, I think that's kind of why I give Charlotte a little bit of leeway with her moonsault, because she's not looking where the fuck she's going.
Yeah. And she's like, the people beneath her are like, oh, this is a giant person coming
at
you.
I mean, she's not a giant,
but she's not a small person.
No, she's not a small person.
No.
And Ricochet doing it not only once but twice, and that's there are so many minute details about pulling off a moonsault, especially inside a cage, where you like, man, I hope I don't like under rotate, like I'll hit like the post or the cage, or my feet will hit one, like all these sort of things that, I don't know, moonsaults.
Even that wire that he's holding on to, you have to be like cautious of that, you'd think.
Just moonsaults to me are the scariest move there are. Like that, like I mean, to me, a shooting star is a variation of a backflip, but you're just going forward. But moonsault. No, if I ever was a high flyer, moonsaults would not be in my repertoire. They wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I thought it was really cool seeing a War Games match live in general.
Yeah,
it was just cool. Like, I liked it.
Yeah, and I was wondering. First off, I was like, how are they even going to set this up? Because I've always seen the Staples Center in regular setup, with one ring.
Totally.
But I was wondering, did they have to? I guess they had to sacrifice a few front row seats on that.
They definitely did it differently, because the setup for TakeOver and the setup for Survivor Series was different for sure. Mm-hmm. I could tell when I was sitting, like I was like looking at it, like the structure and everything was different about it.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd was really into it.
And Ricochet, it was like a playground for Ricochet. I want to see John Morrison in one of those now, or Johnny Impact or whatever, because I just am like, man, he would be doing parkour off all those things and flying off the cage, doing weird shit. I would love it.
I mean, they don't seem to be in a rush to bring him back.
No. I just meant in general, I'd like to see him in one of those kinds of matches.
I mean, MLW has War Game matches, so they could theoretically do it.
That's a good point. And then, like when he did there was at one point when Ricochet kind of like ran up to the top rope to do like a running, or like a diving uppercut that I was like, oh, that was badass. Like it just like a giant
Everybody
playground.
really delivered that night.
Yeah, they really did. They really did. And also, I also want to give props to. I don't want to rush past it, but the other matches on the show were really good too. I mean, Gargano and Aleister Black was killer.
I like what they did. I like what they did with Kyrie and Shayna.
Me too. And
that was fun.
And Dream and Ciampa killed it.
And you know what? That Dream and Ciampa killed it, but I knew they would.
Yeah,
I knew they would. That was going to be great. But I mean, the reason why I like Shayna and Kyrie so much was because it was able to give not full focus, but tease the newer signees, like the rest of the 4 horsewomen. Well, the real, depending on who you ask.
Yeah, the 4 horsewomen of MMA.
Of MMA, yes, and then
or now of NXT.
And now what? How do you pronounce that?
Io Shirai.
Io Shirai.
Io Shirai. There's one person on Twitter gets so mad when I pronounce it wrong.
Yeah, they teased her, which was really dope. And she did another moonsault.
I was just gonna say, you talked about impressive moonsaults, and looking back behind you. She did not look behind her at all. Like she was just like, all right, let's do this. And she was in skinny jeans.
Yep.
I was like, man, that is impressive. This girl went up there in skinny jeans and just did a moonsault without missing a beat. And it was like crisp, picture perfect moonsault that I was like, that was a beautiful moonsault.
And you know what? Doing a moonsault on a bunch of green receivers.
Totally. I thought the same thing. Like, and they caught her well.
Yeah.
More than you see people catch Charlotte on the main roster. Although, like we said, size difference. Big size difference.
Huge.
And then lastly, we should get into Survivor Series a little bit. I'll be honest with you guys, because I was there, not because I was there, because of the Enzo thing that occurred, I did miss some of the show. I was rushing around. So basically, during the Shinsuke versus Seth Rollins match, someone DM'd the Wrestling Sheet account, and they were like, hey, do you notice Enzo's in the front row? And they sent that screen grab, and I was like, oh my God. And I looked at my dad, and I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go see if that's Enzo sitting in the front row. Like, that's crazy, you know? So for those of you watching on video, like, I was behind the announcers, basically, you know, like a little further up, but behind that was where I was. And Enzo was to the right.
Directly in front of hard cam.
Directly in front of hard cam. So I ran to the left to hard cam area so I could try and get as low as possible so I could see if it was Enzo. Because, I mean, it was clear it was Enzo in the picture, but I wanted to get a few pictures because I didn't know when he was going to reveal himself. So I rush over there, and like right when I get down is when he pops up and reveals himself, and I'm like, shit, I'm on the opposite side of the arena in case he gets kicked out, you know? So I ran up, and I ran to the other side, but as you can see in the video that we posted on the site, they kicked him out through the backstage area. So I ran over there for no reason, basically, and then I got that video sent to me that was up close of Enzo being kicked out. So I had to go to the balcony of Staples, and luckily James was helping me out. James typed up the story, and I was getting the video ready and posted it on YouTube. So I missed most of the Survivor Series match, the men's Survivor Series match, and I missed most of the tag. I missed the tag team match, and I missed the 205 Live match. So I don't want to like do a full review. Everyone's like full review. I missed some of the matches. I'll be honest. I'm gonna go back and watch them this week. But I saw part of the end of because I saw the end of the male Survivor Series match because I saw the I walked back in when Shane was doing the coast to coast and Braun knocked him down, which I thought was pretty badass. So yeah, I mean the show, the rest of it that I watched, I liked it. I will say I was so very confused when everyone started booing Ronda Rousey that much.
I mean, I expected people to I'm glad we're going to talk about this because it was so upsetting to me.
It was, right?
Because it really made it made the rest of it kind of like made me a little worried about how they were going to be, like if they were going to be worse on Raw, you know, because I knew the crowd was going to be split. I knew that this was good. Even before it was Charlotte, when it was just Becky, I knew it was going to be the first real test of Ronda Rousey in terms of her star power, because usually they've done a really good job at putting Ronda up against people who they know they're going to boo. Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss. Even that one was a little tricky because people like Alexa Bliss so much.
Yep.
But when it was Becky, and I just saw how much steam Becky had, and I mean, to quote Michael Cole when he was talking about Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins is Becky Lynch is on fire right now, you know, and
so hot right now,
and I was like, yo, this is like, I kind of almost was like a little worried for her because I didn't know. I mean, obviously, I have no idea the backstage like goings on with in terms of prepping Becky, but I wasn't sure if they were adequately preparing her for what this crowd could be. And, you know, while LA is an interesting crowd, they're usually not like the smart asses like Chicago.
Kind of quiet.
Yeah, they're not like Chicago. Or
you didn't go to Raw last night?
No.
But the difference in crowd was like exponent. It was crazy, the difference in crowd, because like the rabid crowd from Survivor Series was not there last night during Raw.
I mean, when I was watching Raw from home, I mean, Ronda got a pretty good reaction.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I feel like even she was confused.
I
would have been.
I had multiple people text me like, did I miss something in the storyline when Ronda became a bad guy? And I was like, no. And I'm with you. I expected, especially when it was going to be Becky, I expected there to be some booing or whatever.
Yeah. And I expect, because you know, this is the first real, in terms of star power, threat that Ronda's had.
And Becky is, like you just said, very, very hot right now. Everyone is like everyone's cheering Becky, so I get it totally, you know? But it was one, she put on a great match. Like the match was dope.
Yeah. And she took a 5-minute
beating where she was just getting the shit kicked out of her.
Visible wounds.
And people then and the crowd started chanting that goodbye song, and I was like, I was sitting there going like, I was like looking around.
What does she need to do?
Why is this happening? Like, what has she done to make this happen? It's almost like this, like, it's like a telling thing. It's like where we are in the world right now of like all the bad things are being cheered for some reason, and I don't get it.
I don't understand in this world, especially the combat sports world, where if you want to throw professional wrestling in there, I don't know what more. Other than just saying, hey, I'm going to go back to NXT for 5 years, which we all know is not going to happen. I don't know what more in the wrestling, in the community of the wrestling universe that she really needs to do to prove herself.
Right?
I mean, she's acclimated extremely quickly.
She's gained the respect of her peers.
Some of them. I mean, she travels. She does the house shows, which is more than her male equivalent does.
She goes out there pimping the WWE to mainstream press,
and she puts on, and she doesn't put on cookie cutter matches.
No,
she got the shit kicked out of her
with a kendo stick, to where the kendo stick exploded.
And you saw each time the kendo stick hit her, a new mark come out on her body. Like you saw it in real time. Like you didn't like see on Raw the next day the bruises from overnight. No, you saw them physically like happen to her. And
they were chanting, "You deserve it." Like, and I was just thinking to myself, like, what has she done to deserve this? Like, she is giving up a very cozy life to come do something that we
so
enjoy.
Taxing.
Yeah, that I was just sitting there just like dumbfounded, and people were tweeting me like, "You don't get it, you don't get it." She handed everything, and I'm like, what?
What was okay? Yeah, she was handed a title match early.
Yes,
you can argue that.
Who cares though?
I mean,
sorry that Alicia Fox isn't the champion. I love Alicia Fox, but it would be silly if she was the champion over Ronda Rousey.
It's just one of those things that I really don't understand. Like when you ask them, like, why do you boo John Cena? It's like at first it was like, okay, yeah, because he's being forced down our throats. But then after a while, it was like, what you know the work he does.
Yeah.
What? Why are we booing him?
Well, I mean, I think it's twofold. One, it's mob mentality. Mm-hmm. They see others doing it, then they start doing it. I think two, it's like they see it as it becoming part of the show. Like that's like part of the act. And to me, like the reason I like PWG shows is because it feels like the audience, while small, not that small, but small,
super supportive though,
is there to like enhance the show. Like as much as they're rowdy and into it, they're not there trying to like take away the focus. They're there to try and help the show be as cool as possible. It'd be like when I go to Disneyland, right? And I go on the Indiana Jones ride. I'm not sitting there riding the Indiana Jones ride going. Like with the little kids sitting next to me going like, well, that looks fake. That's dumb. This is stupid. No one would actually do this. You know, like I'm going like, oh my God, that's Indiana Jones ahead of us. Where are we going? Because I'm like trying to enjoy it because that's why I'm there, you know? And
yeah, for instance, when I, like, it's the same thing when I go to like Halloween Horror Nights, for instance. Like I am not really scared of any of at least at this point, like a 30-year-old man, of things that come out. But I'll still scream just because that's part of what you do.
That's part of the fun.
I mean, there was always that kid at birthday parties when there was a magician.
Totally.
There was always that one fucking kid who had to ruin it and be like, I saw you put your kerchief like in your sleeve and shit. It's like, come on, man. Like everybody else is enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, do you really like? Yeah, okay.
And it's one thing to me to do it after the fact. Like it's like because we're super fans. Obviously, we're gonna pick apart things that we watch with wrestling. You know, but it's like when you're there doing it in the crowd. It's like I don't know. I just feel like it's more fun to like go along with the show a little bit. And so like when you're booing people that are supposed to be cheered, it like makes it less fun for the people who are there to have that
like
fun.
Could you imagine if one horrible person would go to Disneyland and just start like saying like, look at all these idiots in like big furry costumes and stuff. That's not Tigger, that's a dude. And
yeah,
like
going on Space Mountain and turning on his iPhone flashlight and just showing everyone the lights on in the place, you know?
Like, try to immerse yourself, you know? It's supposed to be an escape. Try to like escape from reality, you know? That's my personal opinion.
That's my personal thing with it too. I mean, I've seen you there with little kids doing that, you know, with your little brother and stuff. So yeah, no, totally. I'm right there with you. You know, I'm doing one quick pause because I realize my computer's gonna die, and I need to grab my charger at my desk, which is like 1 second away. In the meantime, while I do that, Jamie, you want to give a little ad for the network while I'm run over there and do that? What you got going on this week?
Well, we have some surprise ones for the holidays, but not ones that we can announce yet. All right. Well, everybody at home, if you are trying to find some new exclusive items, some items that you can't find anywhere else, then you should just sign up for the Network Live it's an app. On iOS only currently right now, but we are dropping on Android and desktop platforms very soon. Pretty much what it is, it's a new shopping network for a new generation. What you do is you sign up, and every week we'll do a product drop, a product you can't get anywhere else, or an early product that we'll get before it hits mass market. And it's a lot of dope stuff. You should check it out. I mean, all our past sizzle reels of like highlights of our past episodes are currently on the app right now.
Oh, they are on there now? Because they weren't before, right?
Highlights, not the full episode.
So not the full episode. Yes. Okay. How come the full episode isn't there?
More reason to tune in.
More in choosing live. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I finally got to watch part of one this week. What day is today?
Today's Tuesday.
Was there one yesterday with Odell Beckham?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched part of the one yesterday.
Ooh, that one was great.
Yeah, it was cool. I liked it. It looked very fancy. I like it. I like those hosts too. They were cool. All right. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. So, it started off with Baron Corbin in the ring. Stephanie comes down. They're banter. Braun Strowman then interrupts. And basically, at the end of this, we get it official that Braun versus Baron at TLC. And so if Braun wins, Braun gets to face Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. If Baron wins, he becomes permanent general manager. Thoughts on that? Do you like the stipulation?
I do, because it's going to be a fun one. But I mean, we're going to jump. Are we going to jump ahead of why?
Of what happened?
Why this is going to be a little. It may not be such a clean sweep for Mr. Strowman.
So then after.
Because that matters when discussing it.
It does. Yeah. And just so you guys know, for those of you listening right now, I'm going to get back to the dismemberment line because that was wild. But to further what Jamie's talking about in this part of the discussion. By the way,
I didn't even really think about that till you just mentioned it.
How bad was that?
Because when she said it, it was such a throwaway to me.
Well, and it's funny because I was rushing. I was a little late to Raw. So Christian, who here at Collider, I was meeting him there, and I missed that line live.
There are some people who in the live who were like even kind of were like boo a little bit.
Well, I just saw all the tweets about it, and I was like, what are they talking about? And then Christian didn't tell me about it, so I didn't think about it. And then I saw after the fact, I was like, wait, what'd they say? And so I watched it this morning, and I was just like, whoa, we'll get into this dismemberment. Actually, let's get into that now. So we're already here. So yeah,
So they list the stipulations.
So when they're listing the stipulations, Braun says that he gets to pick the stipulations in the
and
match.
that he's going to be
he's going to tear him apart, basically.
Well, that he's not going to be held legally accountable for what he does to him.
But he said something about tearing Baron apart.
Limb from limb.
And then Stephanie says, well, dismemberment is a corporate liability, which is
exactly what happened.
Mind-boggling after all this crown jewels, Saudi Arabia.
Because that's
Jamal
exactly
Khashoggi
what happened to that journalist.
Yeah, I mean, the guy got dismembered, and it brought huge negative press to the company. Why on earth would you script Stephanie to say that line?
But I don't think it was.
There's no way she hit that line.
I don't know.
On it,
I don't know.
just by chance. Like, there's no way. You think that was coincidence?
It seemed like an ad lib to me.
I don't know.
To me, it seemed like an ad lib.
To me, Stephanie isn't ad-libbing a lot on TV. Like, Stephanie's following the script.
I don't know. To me,
script is pretty
the one
solid.
but she's also the one person who could get away with it.
Oh, if it was
A flub.
a flub, that has to be one of the stupidest fucking flubs ever. Like, ever. Because that was a big flub. I mean, anyone who saw that coverage, anyone in the company knows the word dismemberment. They didn't even want to say Saudi Arabia on TV for a few weeks.
I don't know.
Dismemberment
I didn't see it like that.
Really?
No, I didn't. I mean, it was maybe a poor choice of words, but I don't think that's where they went in. I don't think they really thought about it. I don't.
You don't think in the show where they also referenced that Roman Reigns deserved to have his cancer come back because of his past discretions in the Shield?
I'm sorry.
Maybe
I think
some
that's
thought went into this.
I think there's a 10-person writing team. I think that's two separate things. I do. I really do.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that.
Because I know that each segment is written by a different writer.
Well, I know that, but also you know at the same time that Vince loves to stick it to wrestling fans. Vince loves to stick it to his critics, to people who speak the opposite of what he has done. Who don't and come on, you don't think that Vince snuck that in?
I don't know. This seems a little conspiracy theory. A little bit.
What?
A little bit to me. A little bit. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm saying that it seemed like it was such a throwaway line to me, like it didn't even register to me the first time I saw it. So, I don't know.
We're going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Jamie. But, okay, so I am with you in the Braun versus Baron thing. But, yeah, to further what you were talking about. So, after the announcement, a six-man tag match is announced, which was... The announcing of that was all weird. Like, first it was going to be a handicap match.
Elimination.
Now it's going to be elimination. Now it's also going to be, instead of a handicap, it's going to be six-man. It was, like, weird the way they kept doing that. So, wait, because I was there live, you were watching on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the same way when they came back from commercial? They just showed Baron saying now it's an elimination match?
Yeah, it was just,
And they didn't say that on commentary as to why?
Well, then also, I remember I come back from another commercial break and Finn's coming out, and I'm like, oh, okay, I forgot Finn's part of this as well. And I mean, they're just, I don't know what Finn's purpose is. It's just like if they need a sixth person and they only have five, then they call Finn. And
we need someone with good abs. Where's Finn?
Yeah, and I mean, it's really... It's a whole other tangent about Finn Balor, but
it's very frustrating.
I don't know I don't know. He made somebody mad, or he just nobody, or it's just Vince just does not want him at all.
I think this is me guessing. My guess is that he was touted by Triple H. He was this hot prospect coming out of NXT because he was a champion, and then when he got injured so quickly, it made Vince scared to
put the belt on
him again, or just to give him that chance again. And I think he's just kind of like waiting. I mean, they haven't even given him the Intercontinental Championship.
Nothing. Not even a tag belt with somebody. You know, like put him like in a B team type thing.
No, and that was a long time ago.
Speaking
now
of which,
when he
where
won
the B
the
team
Universal.
been at?
That's so funny. At Raw last night, they aired like one of those holiday commercials for the crowd with the B team, and Chris said something. He's like, "Are they still on the show?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I think they were in the pre-show. I think they were on the pre-show at Survivor Series." But yeah, no, you're right about Finn Balor. I mean, I also think that just Vince doesn't believe that he is believable as a competitor because of his size. I think that that's why they say that on TV so often. They go, "Oh, the extraordinary man who can do extraordinary things," or whatever. Like
I mean, there is a reason why, I guess, back in Rey Mysterio's heyday that they called him the biggest little dog or whatever the fuck called him. I don't know. The biggest little man in the company's history. Yeah, I mean, WWE, even though they like to kind of hide the negatives and accentuate the positives, they are pretty great at accentuating negatives. Like, they're going to remind you every week that Finn Balor is smaller than the rest of the roster.
They love doing that, 100%. So then, so the 6-man tag happens. Braun, it ends in no contest. Braun's like the last one. He's about to beat someone, and they all just start beating him down. They do a full beatdown angle where...
And then they pull a Kane and Taker and Vince McMahon, even though substitute a leg for an arm.
Yes. And they hit his arm in the...
On the steps. Steel steps.
And now they say that Braun's elbow is shattered. Shattered.
Wow.
Which I have heard is legit. I've heard
that he did hurt his elbow.
That his elbow is injured, but obviously it happened before that. But and that he's gonna be out a few weeks. So
all right, well then this is gonna be a great build up.
You think?
I think so, because Baron Corbin is a heat magnet. People hate him. People hate Baron Corbin. And now, for the next few weeks until TLC, we're going to get an unchecked Baron Corbin just being an asshole, because Braun's going to be out, and he's just going to go out every week and talk about how Braun Strowman's not here, and he took out Braun Strowman, and now he's the current big guy right now. And week after week after week, we'll just have to deal with it because Braun Strowman's not here. And then finally, even probably the Monday before, we'll probably get a surprise return. He'll come in, Baron will run, and then we'll have the match. That's how I see it going. I didn't know that they were going to keep him off TV for a little bit.
I think they're going to, yeah.
And that changes my thoughts on it a little bit. Originally, I thought that they were going to use that going into the match and make that as kind of an equalizer to make it more interesting, not a slaughter.
Makes sense.
And I didn't know that they would actually. This was an injury, like he was going to be off TV for a minute. So,
from what I've heard from a good source, that's what I've heard.
So that makes it a little bit different. Now it's going to be a little more. It may be a slaughter again, but this time people are going to be actually waiting for it.
Do you think? Okay, so Baron Corbin versus Braun happens at TLC, right? And I believe they said if Baron loses, he loses all power, right?
He doesn't lose his job. He loses all power.
Do you see them going that route? Because he has been like, you know what? Now, actually, as I'm saying this, I think I light bulb just popped in my head as I said it. He's totally losing the job. He's totally losing the job to Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss did a really good job when she had that quick little moment as a GM.
You think
they're keeping her off TV for a little bit because of her injuries.
She'd be a great GM and have 2 female GMs. That'd be interesting.
I could see them doing that, right?
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. And also, there's also maybe another possibility. We got, Brock does something
and helps Baron win.
Yeah, maybe.
To be fair, didn't Baron help him win the title?
Yeah, he did.
He did, right?
Yeah,
because when he started the match, he hit him with the title belt.
Yep.
So all right. I guess that also makes a little bit of sense, and then it helps prolong Braun versus Brock till Mania.
Yeah, then we just get
because Braun has to win the Royal Rumble then this time.
Yeah, and I guess we just get GM Baron for a while, and then until the next one comes, whenever that is.
Yeah, I guess I don't really need to see Baron Corbin back as like a main roster.
Because now that because it was so funny, the timing of when he became Corporal Baron. Not Corporal. What is it? Constable.
Constable, which they've dropped, and I don't like it because I like the name Constable.
Corbin.
Yeah, me too.
But when he cut his hair off, that was the same time he started wearing suits.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen like Baron Corbin without his hair in his gear.
No.
And I don't know what that would look like. It's a little frightening to me.
I almost feel like he can't go back to that old lone wolf gear.
It won't match. It wouldn't.
It wouldn't match.
Because
he had that gross stringy hair before, and it kind of matched his whole
he can't be called the lone wolf anymore because, as we all know, wolves have lots of hair. And
so he's lost his lone wolf status.
I'm sorry. When I look at Baron Corbin, I don't think hairy man. I don't. I mean, he doesn't even have a full beard. He has just this thing, whatever that is.
How annoying are the wolves in Red Dead?
I don't like them.
Those motherfuckers, dude.
I mean, there's a lot of nitpicking I could go on and on about Red Dead. You know, it's a great game. It's not a perfect game.
No, it's funny too because you're like doing so many like chores in the game.
Yeah.
Like I literally feel like I'm like I have like errands I need to run in the game. I
Yeah,
like,
you
take
need to
care
clean
of
your
the damn
you need-
farm.
You
like,
need to
whatever.
clean your gun. You need to brush your damn horse.
Okay, so that beatdown happens. Now we get to the Rollins promo. So basically, Rollins comes out. Dean interrupts, says, "Come find me."
And before that, Rollins touches on the most he's ever found out about Dean Ambrose was from the Chronicle episode.
Oh yes.
Which I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, people at home, if you're listening, watching, if you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it because it's both good and silly at the same time. Because there are a lot of great, as we were texting, there's a lot of great insight into the backstage workings of like how they load the Shield, like, you know, promos. Also, what I liked what they showed is they don't usually show this often is when they do the backstage one-liners for Australian markets.
Me too.
So,
I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, but they kind of mix it in with some in character.
Well, it was interesting because it was almost
they didn't
like
present it as in character.
Well, they didn't present it that way, but the documentary itself it was interesting. It was interesting because it's not often that you see a basically kayfabe documentary. Like it was real to a certain degree. But there was a lot of in-character stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like there. I
kind of liked that.
It mixed him. I mean, it reminded me of the old Attitude Era DVDs.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, God, I didn't even think about it, but that's a lot what it was like. Was one of those
remember,
old. I used to
remember
love
the
those.
Three Faces of Foley DVD.
It was the first one that came to mind when you said that. Yeah,
both.
yeah.
And with Dean, it's like, yeah, we're getting a lot of great backstage, but then they cut to like Dean flipping out backstage after Drew McIntyre's promo about why Roman has a title and Seth has a title, but Dean doesn't. Where if you know enough about professional wrestling, you know that's not something that would set somebody, especially somebody who's been in the game this long, off. You know, that's not a hot touching point.
No.
But that seems like
you don't see like a wrestler like brooding in the corner over the scripted promo that just happened in the ring. Afterwards.
So it was a little silly. You know, I kind of laughed at every time Dean would get mad for whatever reason, and it's just, why are you mad, Dean? I'm mad because the world is against me. It's like it does, and it was a great, because you know what it is, and I don't even know if they meant to do this. Chronicle became part of the storyline.
Yeah,
like if you want to get like, because they used to, even though Dean appeared and had a promo at the end of the night, had a promo with the garbage can at last week.
Had a promo with the garbage can. Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was.
No, I know. I just picture him doing the promo, looking at it. Like I get what you mean, but I picture like an acting class where Dean's doing like a serious scene with a trash can. But yes, you're right.
But they never really said why. You know, and
that was a Vince call from what I've heard. That Vince was like doesn't necessarily need it. And I do think this week they a little more tried to explain why, but I'm with you. I think this documentary actually did a better job of explaining Dean's heel turn
and frustration
behind it than anything they showed on TV. So I'm with you. That
if they started putting up content that if you want to connect a little more dots on Raw, on SmackDown storyline, but you have to go back and watch the network, I don't know why they wouldn't do that.
Seems brilliant to me to use it for that reason. I mean, we were talking via text before you came here, and we were both kind of saying that the ending of the Dean thing when they showed his actual turn was really, really cool.
The way
they edited it.
If you watch this Chronicle for any reason, watch it for how they shoot, how they edit, what music they put to it. They make Dean's turn on Seth like a movie.
Yeah, with that noise, with the no noise
like
thing,
the high pitched.
Yeah, I loved it.
The same noise they make when like a bomb goes off in an Afghanistan movie. It's like, and they just cut to Dean, like his head is buried in the mat and he's like screaming at the mat, and it's like, God, this looks so much better than anything Dunn would have put together.
I thought the same thing when I was watching. I was like, man, they need to show, if anything, they need to show just this part to get a better idea and be like, hey, you want the full backstory of why Dean turned? Go to the network, which they didn't do, and I'm shocked because they should have.
You mentioned that you're an acquaintance with the guy who put it together, and
we follow each other on Twitter.
So props to him. Like if he ever sees this, that was one of the better pieces I've seen put together on one of those things.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I'm glad you said the same thing. I'm glad that it wasn't just me because I felt the same way. I was like, man, this is something people need to go watch. It was well done, and I'm glad because I agree with you that like it was fun because it was like really well done, but then at the same time like kind of goofy because it was in kayfabe. But it works because it's Dean Ambrose.
There's the scene where Dean Ambrose flips out on some caller that we don't ever know who it is, but they literally focus on the call for 5 minutes, and he's mad at him for interrupting his gym session.
I hope that it was supposed to be Seth Rollins because of what was said on Raw.
That's what I got. But
I almost think that Seth Rollins was smart enough to put that together, and that maybe wasn't in the script. That he was like, let's just mention that. That makes sense. That was me. That's why.
I mean, they opened it up with Dean just being a huge asshole to the camera. It's like, can anybody be this miserable just always? And kiss his girlfriend the way he kisses Renee Young? The little like the. That's like, wait, come on. Like nobody who kisses their girlfriend like that is just mad all the time.
Okay, so then in this promo after the Chronicle thing, then he says something that got everyone more so than the dismemberment line. Shockingly, well, not shockingly, but this was the other really controversial thing that was said on Raw last night.
Make sure to mention the setup.
So what he said is that like basically that the Shield is going to pay for their past discretions.
So basically, all three of them.
Yeah, that they all stepped on a lot of people on the way to the top, and that they're gonna get the repercussions for it now.
Including himself,
including Seth, and he said including Roman. He said for what Roman did in the Shield, he has to answer to the man upstairs.
Yeah,
implying that Roman's cancer returned due to the things the Shield has done in the past.
Yeah,
which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that they called him and asked if they could.
I'm almost positive that they did. I would bet money on the fact that they did. I've heard from a source that they did. And that Roman maybe even suggested it. But here's the thing. Here's my thing when I look at it. I get it. Roman probably thinks, in Roman's mind, it's like the heat thing. Like, oh, I'm coming back. And when I come back, built-in heat right there, right? And on top of that, wrestlers, when a wrestler dies and the family is cool with it, they'll do something like this because they go like, oh, this is what the wrestler would have wanted. They would have liked to still be involved in the storyline after they died. But like Roman is not dead.
When people made that argument about Eddie,
Eddie, Paul Bearer, all that kind of stuff. Jim Neidhart now. But Roman is alive. And Roman could potentially, Roman is dealing with a life or death situation. An illness that can end in death if it goes that way, right? So I just don't understand the point of throwing that out there in a television show that is scripted, because it's like, and I'm all for blurring the lines of reality and fiction, but not when it comes to like death.
Yeah, and to me, this is twice they've done this.
Yeah.
They did it the night he announced it.
Well, and the night they announced it, I was a little less mad because he was there. I kind of got it.
I'm not saying that it was an initial outright. I mean, it wasn't an internal when they first did it, because I was like, hey, mad respect to them. That was a great move. That was a really crazy move to do, and they did it.
Yeah, me too.
But then when you do it again, it's like now you're basing because now whenever you think back on Dean and Seth, not so much. Because now the roles have reversed. Now Dean is the face and Seth is now Dean is the heel and Seth is the face. But now that's part of it now. Is Roman's real life battle with leukemia.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, when you have such two talented people as Dean Ambrose and Seth, and in my opinion, we're seeing Dean Ambrose in his prime right now.
Me too.
Because I don't think we had Dean. I think Dean got really complacent. I don't know Dean, so I can't say for sure. But it's to me, judging even from the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast where he really phoned it in, and Austin even was like, "Come on, dude, what the fuck? Come on, you're in the room with Stone Cold Steve Austin," and I think he's a little more because he's seen what it's like to have it taken away. Like in the documentary, he said it was the first time he's been injured in 6 years. And I think he's a little more focused now, and I think he is giving it his 100%, which is I don't think we got his 100% before.
I'm with you on that, yeah.
And Seth Rollins, who people have repeatedly on commentary, and as well as the crowd of like he's on it. We're seeing we're not seeing the rise. We're seeing like Seth kind of taking his role as the workhorse of the company. I don't think you need something as controversial as Roman's real life health issues to make that feud better.
Yeah,
I don't think you need it.
Like their friendship falling apart, you would think would be enough as it is, considering they're one of the top factions of all time.
And Dean is such a creative force on the microphone, where you would think that they could come up with something. Like anything, like of a reason,
Just anything but leukemia talk.
And even if they just relied on him being frustrated, saying I was never taken seriously as a Shield.
Well, look at like we said, look at Chronicle. The promos that he was cutting in Chronicle, a lot of those are in character.
Yeah.
And they're like really compelling stuff to watch. None of it mentions cancer and stuff.
No.
I look at wrestling as like an escape. And sometimes when you inject a real life thing like that into your escape, it's like too real.
Because think about it. You'll look back on that, and then if hypothetically, in a horrible, worst outcome scenario possible, Roman succumbs to leukemia. And that's years down the line if everything goes wrong, which it seems like, he's got the right people in his corner, so that might not happen. But then you look back on that episode, and he says that.
That's exactly how I look at it. It's like, why? What if that happens? Then that exists in the ether.
Yeah.
You saying that about your homie, and I get it. I get this is in a scripted environment, but you're taking. It's just I'm cool with blurring reality and fiction, but like I said, when death is involved, I just don't necessarily feel like it's necessary. Like there are more creative ways to write that.
Did it raise everybody's eyebrows? Absolutely. I mean, it was a great heel. It was a great heat getter. That's for sure.
Yep.
I mean, they're doing. I guess it's a lot of just the same mentality as I thought why they pulled the trigger when they had the heel turn. Is that Dean is a face at heart. People like to cheer Dean, and if they had just had Dean just turn on Seth just in some predictable way, I don't think I'd still to this day think he'd get cheered.
Yeah.
I don't think that it would still be. I don't think he would really have the same kind of vitriol that he has now. And I think it's just adding to it, but at the same time, it's like it kind of leaves you like, well, that was a little uncomfortable, and I really hope he doesn't succumb at the end. I mean, like that would make this whole because then that just gets more that like I already told you that's tied. Roman's leukemia is tied to this angle forever.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if something worse were to happen to Roman, I think it would really put a sour note in the whole Seth and Dean relationship as a whole going forward.
Yep. No, I agree. Just 1 second. So, yes, I agree with everything you said right there. And the only thing I want to say is besides the cancer part of things, I do think that, like you had mentioned, like with Dean being Prime Dean, it feels like we're about to get like Prime Dean. I did feel like these were like the edgiest, most like old school feeling Dean Ambrose promos we've seen in a while. Like the kind that I used to see people talking about on YouTube all the time.
Like CZW.
Yeah, like all that kind of stuff that people were always raving about, like his promos. I do feel like they had this like sense of realism to it a little bit, and I did like that.
And I'm sorry, when he said, "What's that smell?" when he came back out, I was like, "What is that?" What? All right, whatever.
I had bought at the show. I had bought garlic tater tots at the show, and the guy sitting behind me, he works the ESPN, and when Dean was like, "What's that smell? I smell something out there," he was like, "It's Satin's garlic tater tots over here. They're fucking smelly." Like, oh man, sorry. All right, so we'll get back to the end of the Dean stuff at the end, but one thing I wanted to mention here is the next thing where they had a vignette that aired for Lars Sullivan, seemingly showing that he's going to be on, I would assume, on Raw.
Yeah. And the tweets from WWE
they say Raw, right? Like
hashtag
Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. I honestly think that while I would prefer him on SmackDown, I think the call-up is 100%
Yeah,
deserved.
I mean, like, he's a great, but here's the thing. I wonder how they market him because they already have a monster.
I know. And they've got Drew McIntyre, who's like huge right now. They've got, that is the main reason I would have preferred to see him go to SmackDown.
Because there aren't any monsters on SmackDown other than Big Show, but I mean, he's
I feel like that role is less filled out on SmackDown right now.
I mean, I didn't know that he was going to get called up this early. I mean, it's not early for him. He's been on the roster for. I mean, when I say early, I mean before like a superstar shakeup or
out of the blue like that.
Yeah, just like, oh, okay, let's go.
Which makes me think that there is a plan.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like with the shakeups, they're like, we have to call someone up because it's time for a shakeup. Bringing someone up right before WrestleMania season is interesting to me because it almost is like, do they have something for him?
They must. I mean, it's like I said, I don't know how because literally he has the role that Braun has on Raw. Braun's a little more entertaining.
I didn't even mention Braun either. Yeah, Braun, Drew, and Brock are like behemoths on.
Yeah, but Braun is a little more. I mean, the closest equivalent that Lars has on the roster is Braun, but Braun is a little more. There's a little more depth to him. Lars is kind of just this like Frankenstein monster. Lars to me is if PCO could still work.
Okay.
Like, I'm no knock to PCO, but I mean,
I get what you mean.
But
he's older.
His moonsaults are a little, like I love PCO. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I know.
But
he's a spectacle to watch, but he's not like the most crisp when you're watching it. Yeah,
he's not. And Lars is,
but he doesn't care either. Like that's part of his thing.
But Lars to me is if PCO could work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And I don't like making him like all this unstoppable monster that just tears through people. They already have 3 of them.
Yeah,
and and to make him different, I really don't know. They have to. I think they'd have to change up his gimmick a little bit.
That's honestly everything you're saying right now is 100% what I was confused by the Raw status of things. Like all of that is needed on SmackDown, unless. The only thing I think is that maybe they're planning on doing a shake. They're obviously going to do a shakeup again, but like maybe they're planning on sending Braun to SmackDown once the shakeup happens or something like that, and they want to have another monster in the wings, basically. But I do wonder like where he's going to fit in with everything, like where they use him. Even I could see him being like on the Intercontinental level, to start, but it's I'm very much interested
because even though he is a big dude, he's not a tall dude.
No, he's just like a overpowering looking dude. Like he's a monster.
He's very thick.
Yeah, he's very thick.
He's a Rhino.
He's a little taller than Rhino though.
Yeah.
And speaking of actually Rhino, Rhino's in one of these next segments here. He's in the catering segment.
Right, well, I'm glad we're going to talk about this because I'm not a big fan of this whole thing.
So Drake Maverick's in catering. Kazim, who works at WWE, which is cool, seeing him have a line on Raw, makes fun of Drake Maverick.
Well,
and then everyone starts making fun of Drake Maverick.
In case all our viewers at home didn't catch this, which I'll be shocked if you didn't, Drake Maverick during the the SmackDown versus Raw tag team championship match with the Bar versus the Authors of Pain, Big Show grabs Drake Maverick by the neck while they're on the apron, and Drake, after a little bit of fidgeting on his belt, but which we all know was the P gimmick, he pisses himself because we're supposed to think that Big Show scares Drake Maverick so much that he pees himself. And they made that, and as your point, they made that a continuing thing where they're in catering, the rosters is making light of Drake Maverick peeing himself.
Yes, that's if he got outside. If he got any of the peas and all that kind of stuff. You didn't like it?
First off, Bobby Roode's joke was terrible.
What was his?
I'm glad you're in bladder spirits.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's not even clever, Bobby. But I'm not a fan of the pee thing. because when they were in NXT, I was a huge Authors of Pain fan.
Yeah.
I thought they were great.
Yeah.
I thought they were exactly what we needed in the tag team division, and I was excited for when they called up because it was the first real tag team that I thought they were going to take seriously. That they weren't going to just put on like main event or so, like this. These guys are going to come through and like demolish everybody, but they didn't. And then then they put him with Drake Maverick, which I didn't really understand at first. Drake Maverick can talk; he's a great mouthpiece, but he doesn't really fit the aesthetic of AOP, and he still doesn't to this day.
Well, he's not intimidating.
He's not, and. To me now, before AOP was having a really hard time being taken seriously on the main roster. And now they have the titles now, but now that's not what people are thinking of right now.
I mean, the crowd was chanting AOPeePee during the match,
Yes.
during their match later in the show.
And to me, even though it wasn't them doing it, unless they change up the whole formula completely, they get rid of Drake, they change up their look. Where do they come back from that?
I get that it's not one of them who peed on themselves.
Yes.
But it's similar to like...
But none of them are talking.
No. But I was going to say it's similar to like when John Cena... I think it was John Cena who called out Neville for having like elf ears or whatever.
Yes.
And then it was like, well, he's fucked now. Like everyone sees Neville as a giant elf and he was kind of fucked after that point.
Thank God Cesaro is a great performer and he's able to escape the nipple thing.
Totally. God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like, that could have been terrible.
I forgot about that. You're right.
Like, that could have followed him for the rest of his career, that nipple thing.
Yes. And so I think that, while honestly, this segment and the next one just show what Vince McMahon thinks of tag team wrestling. I mean, the fact that he has to saddle Authors of Pain with this P stuff and has Revival in the next segment lose to Lucha House Party with no offense whatsoever, pretty much. It's just like shows that he doesn't care about good tag teams.
One of the teams isn't even on TV.
Yeah.
Like, where are they? Like, I like those milk cartons. Like, where is the club? Like, where have they been? It's been months.
They were in the tag team Survivor Series thing too, but that's the first time we've seen them in fucking forever.
And they got a good reaction. I heard they got a pretty good, solid. Like, people wanted them.
I don't know why they're not being used more. It's insane to me. But it's just another thing. It's like this is what Vince thinks of tag teams, and it's like. Well,
they're not going to care about just them by themselves. We got to throw P in there.
Yeah, and that is crazy to me because they are a really good tag team, and that conversation happened. So yeah. Although at the same time, like, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothered you because I get they need to have storylines, and it's not the Authors of Pain peen. But at the same time, yes, there are such better options that would help everyone. As long as
Drake Maverick is with them, they're going to be the AOPeePee.
AOPeePee forever, yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that sucks. You're right. Yeah, they're going to be solid.
It bothers me because I loved, like I said, I loved the Authors of Pain because I saw potentially I didn't think they were going to revolutionize the tag team industry, but I did think they were going to maybe spark some life back in it again, make some unstoppable force that like an up and coming tag team would have to topple to get the belts back.
I could honestly, and I hate to say this, but I could see them getting split up in a superstar shakeup and them each being pushed as singles guys on different brands.
Oh no.
I don't know that. It's just me talking. This is me guessing.
Oh my God, that'd be terrible.
But like, Vince just hates tag teams.
He does.
And they are big, tough dudes.
And I mean, I forget who said, I think it was Dash Wilder who tweeted like an old match of theirs, and
it was it was a 2-year anniversary of their takeover match with DIY.
Yeah, and he said tag team wrestling can be fun. And it can. And it can. I mean, there was a reason why, like, weren't there like 3 separate takeovers where like a tag team was the main event?
Well, yeah, well, I believe so, but definitely where they got 5-star matches.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I mean, all those DIY, Revival, Authors of Pain matches were great. Like, all those were great. So, yeah, it makes no sense. Okay, shifting topics here. Then we had the Ronda Rousey promo. And thankfully, LA was much nicer to her here.
Jeez, thank God.
I mean, there were boos initially.
There
were boos.
I assume.
But not to the same level as they were the night before.
Such vitriol and bile.
No, not as much of that anymore. And so she comes out. says how she was there to show what a true champion is. A true champion doesn't pick and choose the most opportune time to fight. She said that's a challenger's luxury, which is silly because they won't allow Becky Lynch to wrestle, so that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then she issues an open challenge. Baron Corbin comes out. Place goes crazy, hoping that it's going to be Baron Corbin who's answering the challenge.
If you really have been paying attention in class, you know that's not going to happen.
Then Mickie James accepts. They have a match. She beats Mickie James. Pretty basic stuff here, but I think we talked about the Boo stuff pretty heavily already. So I mean, right? Not really much to say here.
No,
good promo.
Good promo. Good squash.
I did feel like my older sister was yelling at me a little bit during it. She's starting to feel like an angry older sister where you're like,
tweeted
hey,
that, but I didn't really get that.
No, you didn't get that vibe at all?
No.
She was just like,
I'm actually really
angry.
I'm actually really happy with how far Ronda's come on the microphone in such a short time. I really am.
One thing I will give her credit for last night, above all, was, and this is something that I know can't be easy, is walking out there, and Roman used to do this a lot, and Cena too, because they're the only people who really get like such mixed reactions like that, is she did come out and do what they do and just kind of like stood there and took it in and let them do it and just kept her same confident demeanor and just let everyone spew whatever they wanted.
If you know what you know about Ronda Rousey, probably took a lot because she is a sensitive girl.
Yeah.
Things affect her.
Yeah, totally.
And that's not a knock on her.
No, that's got to be hard. I would think that would be difficult.
Especially in your hometown where you thought all your friends would be there, that'd be rough.
I
would be I would have a chip on my shoulder going out in the same crowd.
If I was walking out at the pond where I was like from like Orange County and like I walked out and everyone just booed me, I'd be so sad.
Yeah. Like this is the one place I thought that I would get like a homecoming. And it did fine. And it's the timing. If they want people to get back on the Ronda Rousey train, the timing's perfect because now she's going up against Nia Jax, who's public enemy number 1 in terms of the fans right now. And the reason why a lot of other people, whether it be Brie Bella or it be Seth Rollins or even Samoa Joe with Tyson Kidd to an extent, whenever somebody injures somebody else, they're usually by and large apologetic. Not apologetic, but saying like, I'm sorry. And the other guy is usually like, I understand these things happen. But this is the first time really we've seen Nia Jax go like, yeah, I knocked that bitch out, like it's like she comes out and does this every time, And,
that heat was nuclear at Survivor Series when she walked out. We were talking earlier about how LA is typically pretty quiet. Mm-hmm. That was the most I've ever heard someone booed in a very long time.
And if they want people to side with Ronda again, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, no, you're right in that regard.
Because people want Ronda to fuck her up.
I've been trying to figure out like where they go the next few months without asking, like just guessing, obviously in my head. With the women in general, Ronda, Charlotte, Becky,
unless they pull the Ember Moon trigger, which it doesn't seem like they are.
Not anytime soon. I just look at it and I go, well, okay.
Well,
based on this week, I feel like we're still gonna get Charlotte versus Ronda rematch at Mania, which means we'll probably get Becky versus Nia and Mania, right?
I think we get like what's the next throwaway one? Like we don't think we get like Ronda and Tamina at some point.
Maybe
it's another big obstacle she has to overcome.
We've only WWE.
Schedule
2018 because there's only like let's see 2018. So we just had Survivor Series, then it's TLC, which is it was December 16th, then Royal Rumble in January and WrestleMania in April. So obviously there's other stuff in between, but I feel like I'm wondering if we're gonna get 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen at Royal Rumble. Just because it seems like they're going in that direction.
But you think those other 3 would get called up that quickly?
Well, Shayna's ready. I mean, it's not like Shayna's not ready.
No, but the other 2 are nowhere near ready.
We don't know that. We don't know how long they've been training for.
But they wouldn't get called up.
I don't think it's necessarily like a permanent call-up, so to speak. But I could see them being like, these are our 3 women from NXT. Like, I could see Ronda, if they go the heel route, having to call her friends in NXT for backup. No. And then they go like, okay, well now the backup has arrived. The four horsewomen have to Avengers style reunite.
If the other two were more prominent and had bigger names, maybe. But I just see like to a wider audience, like Ronda calling them up and be like,
who are these people?
Who are these people? Mm-hmm. You know, like Shayna, one thing to a lesser extent, but especially her other friends. Like I mean, if you were in the crowd for the Shayna Baszler Kairi Sane match, I mean, the only reason I knew who they were is because I assumed. Because they were in fucking street clothes. Okay. You know, like they didn't like. I was like, because I was like, okay, I don't know who these girls are. I've never seen them before. They seem to be helping Shayna Baszler. I'm assuming these are the two that just got called up. I mean, that just got signed.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I am interested to see where things go towards WrestleMania. Okay, so Ronda beats Mickey. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable beat the Authors of Pain to further the like, what the fuck is happening in here with the Authors of PP?
And whatever's going on with Bobby and Chad Gable.
Who knows? Okay, so then we got Natalya versus Ruby Riott. Solid match. I don't think anything like it kind of seemed like it was just to end what they've been doing with the whole glasses.
Which is surprising that they actually carried a storyline from the beginning, middle, to the end.
Right? Yeah, props to them for actually ending that whole thing. They kind of had to, since they injected the anvil stuff. They kind of had to end that, or else it would have been dick.
I'm sorry, even though they love hanging out and they like being friends, they need to split up Absolution.
You think?
Or the Riot Squad. I'm sorry.
You think? I think they're great as a team.
I don't know, but they've done enough. I don't know what more they could do.
Well, they don't really win that much yet. They could win.
But the thing is, the reason why when I talk stables, I always go to the New Day because let's be honest, they're the only ones that are really doing it consecutively right now. And I think time will tell in terms of stables that they will go down as one of the best ever.
Oh yeah,
because in terms of their longevity and their merchandise,
yeah,
I think they'd rival the Legion of Doom. To be honest with you. In terms of longevity and merchandise, still time will tell in terms of like.
Well, you don't consider Legion of Doom a stable; they're a tag team. Do you consider New Day a tag team or a stable?
I guess you could kind of even because I guess no, because it's a stable because there's three of them.
Yeah,
but anyway,
that's like the most nitpicky wrestling thing I've ever said back.
I mean, you can also then I could throw in the argument that they had that one random LOD member in Japan.
Or Paul Ellering too, as like their.
And then you could throw in the dummy if you really want. But God,
I forgot. Yeah, they did have a third Legion of Doom member. You're right. Yeah,
and Draws and Heidenreich.
Is Legion of Doom a stable?
I mean,
are the Road Warriors technically considered a stable because of all
I think
that?
so because they added a third member a few times.
I never really thought about it, but I mean, there is more than two guys who have been part of the Legion of Doom and Road Warriors. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, what's the name again? Like Power or something?
Who?
The Japanese Legion of Doom member who's like green shoulder pads.
He's a famous wrestler. I forget his name on top of my head, but I'm not great with Japanese wrestling.
But going back to my original point, it's just that they don't have any sense of unity and other than the terms of that they're friends.
Yes,
I don't. But I mean. In WWE, you're able to run with somebody and be their friend and have tag team matches with them without being in a stable with them.
Yes,
and I think that the stable's kind of hurting Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan.
It's Kensuke Sasaki.
But what was his? What was his Legion of Doom name? It was Power something.
They were the Hell Warriors and. Animal Warrior. Animal was billed as Animal Warrior. Hawk was Hell Warrior. Hawk and they were just the Road Warriors. I don't know. I'm terrible with. I wasn't watching this, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, neither was I, but I know it.
Kensaki Road Warriors. It's not interesting for someone to listen to, but. With Power something. What is it? Power.
I'll find
Power
it.
Warrior.
Power Warrior. That's it. Yeah, Power Warrior. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I just don't think that there's anything really uniting them. I don't. I just think that they were a great debut team. They were a great way to debut them and to show people who they are.
Yeah, but don't you feel like they get a little lost in the shuffle like Mandy and Sonya Deville have, kind of?
I could see that, but at the same time,
because I do worry that if they were to break up, Ruby would get all the love, and Sarah and Liv wouldn't be used.
You
as
don't
much.
think Liv? I mean, I think Liv.
I think Liv is is going to be one that's like around for a long time, and she's going to be someone people remember for a long time. I think she's going to be the one that's there the longest of the group, all that kind of stuff. But that's me personally. But I
just think that right
I
now
think she's so young, she could use the being tagged with Ruby, who does have more experience.
I could see that, but I just see more and more, less and less activity from Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan.
They do need to use them more.
And I feel like you're forgetting who they are, and who they are is interesting. Like, I think if you really let Sarah Logan be that Viking like Southern girl, like it's just like I
agree with you too.
Like, even though it wasn't even a promo. Or I go back to this move because when I first saw it, I was like, this says everything you need to know about Sarah Logan. Is when she did that pop-up headbutt thing where it sounds like the chin clicks when they hit. Like, that says all you need to know about her. Mm-hmm. Is that, like, she uses her head. She has a really thick skull. She, like, it doesn't phase her. You know, like, that's a big part of her character. But they're not. I also think I've seen that.
I also think with Liv. She's
extremely marketable.
She's so marketable with the young crowd.
So
she's so hip that it'd be like people would love that. So
I even
kill her heel too.
I even told her once. I was like, "You figured out a way for fans to be able to interact with you without buying a $30 T-shirt."
Yeah, it's true.
They can go get
a blue tongue or whatever.
25 cents Jolly Rancher candy.
Totally. Okay, and then I think lastly, I mean, there wasn't much else to the end of the show. It was Ambrose cuts the promo.
Well, Ambrose was playing hide and seek with Seth throughout the entire show.
And then he finally reveals himself, comes in the ring. Rollins comes running out.
That was so awkward, by the way, when they cut to Seth on TV and Dean. I guess they wanted Dean to acknowledge it, but to like still could finish the promo.
Yes.
So he's like, "Where you going, Seth?" Well, anyway, what I was talking about, I got to fill time before he gets here. Wouldn't he have, like, if he was scared of him, wouldn't he have left when he saw him coming?
Instantly. I thought the exact same thing. He didn't even get fazed by it. And then also when Seth comes running, he did this funny thing in the ring where he was like running in place, waiting for Seth to come into the ring, and then he just got tackled, and it looked so silly.
It was almost like my favorite recent clip of when Braun realizes that when he's chasing after Baron Corbin that he sprinted a little too fast. So he kind of had to hit the brakes a little bit.
It was very much like that.
That was my favorite thing ever when I saw that.
That was so funny.
Oh my God, because he literally like, oh. He looked like a grown version of that, like, you know that gif of that baby when it like walks into a room and he's like not supposed to be, and he goes, "Ooh." Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It looks just like a grown version of that with a beard.
Totally. But I mean, okay, so the final angle, did it to get you excited for this continuing on of this feud?
They're really trying to go for what they had with Austin with the outside extracurricular shit. And I don't think it's getting repetitive because it's a little, although there was a lot of like running around and nonsense going on during the show. And at the end of the day, it was the same ending as last week.
Yeah, that's how I felt. About it.
It was the same. Nothing new was learned. Nothing other than Dean talking about nothing for. I mean, not to say it was a bad promo.
No, but it was a very anticlimactic ending. Yeah. And I didn't really think there was like much to, like, considering it was a running thread throughout the show, I didn't feel like it really was like that great of a payoff.
My favorite part of the whole segment, though, was that random security guard who just told Seth, "You better get out of my..."
That was the best.
I was like,
"You better get out of my face."
Hey, I don't know, but you better
That was, oh man, I didn't write that down.
I don't know, but you better get out of my face.
That was one of the highlights of the show.
If that had been a real security guard, you'd be like, "You're not helpful."
You're not helpful at all. Did you notice that the other one was Baines?
Yes, of course.
I love that.
They use Baines a lot.
Yeah, they love using Baines.
They use him a lot, and I enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. Every time he's back there. I had no idea who the other security guard was, though.
Me either. I thought every time they come to LA, I always think I'll recognize somebody.
I recognize a lot of the extras. Like I recognize Eric
Watts.
And Lila Doom.
They
stuff
used
like that.
Ray and Peter Avalon with the Bludgeon Brothers,
Yeah.
which was really fun.
They used I don't know if you saw this. If you got there early enough for Takeover, did you see that they used Fidel Bravo in one of the dark matches at Takeover?
I didn't, no.
Against Keith Lee?
No, I got there right as Riddle was walking out.
Yeah, me too. And I was like, man, good for Fidel Bravo. Like, nice SoCal love for that guy. All right, we got to get out of here. We've gone a little longer because we had to do all that weekend talk at the top. Jamie, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at JamieIovine or on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on the United Network. As you know, I represent my client Royce Isaacs, the current TV champion and heritage champion of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You could catch us. We do TV tapings every 2 weeks, and come by, watch some fun, and catch us be great. Also, if you haven't already, sign up for the network, the new shopping network that we developed. It's up and running. We've had already some great drops with people like the Wu-Tang Clan, FaZe Clan, Fortnite stuff. We had one with Jonathan Chebin. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sorry.
You guys had one with him on there?
Yeah, the cooking
Yeah, I
one.
know,
Cooking one. And we're doing drops every week. So I'm instead of this one because of the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday, and we're back up and running right afterwards. And it's fun. We got a lot of dope stuff in the pipeline that I can't announce just yet, but we will very soon. And I hope everybody just has a great Thanksgiving.
I also hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. And I can proudly say that I worked TMZ for 7 years, and I also don't know how to say that guy's name. So I'm real proud of that fact. I don't know how to say it, and I don't care.
Neither do I. It wasn't my choice of a show.
All right, guys. If you're listening to the audio, go check out the YouTube channel that we've got. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where all the video recaps go. That's where Wrestling Sheet Radio goes every week. I put up a video of Enzo being kicked out of Staples Center there this weekend. Go check out the channel. Subscribe, like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. It helps out a lot. And if you're watching via YouTube, please go subscribe to the podcast feed as well. Podcast 1, Wrestling Sheet Radio is the feed. That's where all the shows go if you just want to listen while you're driving and you don't want to see our beautiful faces while doing so. And also make sure you check out the site, ProWrestlingSheet.com, at Wrestling Sheet on all social media as well. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out for now. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.
ProWrestlingSheet.com